Halifax, Gaspé, and then on to Quebec City. Spirits were high among the hundreds of thousands who lined the waterfront. But there were teary dockside scenes too, reminiscent of the Second World War, as sailors and newfound love said goodbye. The tall ships are scheduled to reach Gaspé in 5 or 6 days and will sail from there next Wednesday for Quebec City to take part in celebrations of Jacques Cartier's arrival in the New World 450 years ago. The almost week-long visit of the ships and today's parade of sail were a huge success, and no one is happier than the merchants along the Halifax waterfront.
I personally have never seen anything like it in my life. Been in the retail business 10 years, and this has been the most spectacular 4 days in the retail business for me.
So tell me, how has the souvenir business been over the last couple of days?
We were set up in the concession area at Morris and Water, and it was very quiet there. Most people somehow or other managed to get from the A ships to the B and C without stopping in our area. I think, too, the helicopter being opposite us didn't do us any good, because if it wasn't there, then ships could have docked there, and then there would have been a big crowd there. We have a shop in Sydney. We do silverware restoration, replating, and repair. And our shop is about 500 feet away from where all the boats will be docking next month. So we were sort of compelled to do something for that, and this gives us a second kick at the can.
Two major centers, the Simpsons Mall in Halifax and Micmac Mall in Dartmouth, had arranged for tour buses leaving and returning to their locations from the waterfront. However, this effort really didn't work out as well as planned, and in fact, business was very poor indeed. For the malls and stores downtown, but not actually on the waterfront, business was brisk during the day, but their evening hours were dead. Everyone was on the waterfront. With the beautiful weather here, consumers spent their time outside and not in the stores.
Certainly this is a waterfront activity. You know, the sailboats were right there. You know, I feel badly if they didn't get their fair share, but you can't tell the public what to do.
All in all, no one could argue that Tall Ships has been a highly successful event for both the cities of Halifax, Dartmouth, as well as for the tourists who came here. And although no revenue totals are in as yet, rest assured money was spent. And for businesses here, it was a big shot in the arm for the start of the tourist season.
We'll have more on the Tall Ships later. Curiosities was the biggest of the ships, the Russian Krusenstern. But the interest was not only for the ship, but for those who sail her. ATV's Heather Proudfoot has the Russian story.
These cadets set sail from Russia more than 3 weeks ago. And by the time they got here Saturday, boy, were they ready to see Canada.
I dream to see a hockey competition, but I'm sorry that we come to Canada in summer and I can't see Gretzky. I see Gretzky on TV. I want to visit it much with Gretzky.
The cadets didn't get to see any hockey, though. One of their first outings was church, the memorial service for the Marquets. But party time came Monday night at the Big Lobster Bash. Everybody was a little shy at first, but that passed.
What do you think of our Canadian women?
Very good women.
The morning after, there was a windsurfing challenge from the Americans, all in fun, of course. Then it was off for some sightseeing and shopping, while other cadets back on board looked after visitors from the crew exchange program, cadets from other ships who will sail with the Russians to the Gaspé.
And finally tonight, our report on the parade of sail. Many who witnessed the tall ships in Halifax Harbor today will never forget that spectacular sight, the tall ships leaving for Quebec City. But it's not goodbye, because they'll be back in July to the port of Sydney. It is simply farewell. And if one picture is worth 1,000 words, and we think it is, we'll let cameraman Cyril Worth tell the rest of the story.
Our thanks to Cyril, to Greg Irvin, and to everyone at ATV who did such a marvelous job covering the tall ships for you. That's the news tonight. Paul will have sports, baseball news, and much more.